only
the soul of Detroit,
can give you Thanksgiving and Christmas all in one night. First, it's turkey, dressing, and a whole bunch of peanuts. It's a
Shawn Windsor
Thanksgiving. Then, Christmas comes early with the biggest, baddest,
I must stop this from coming.
best holiday movie event of the season.
I'm all toasty inside.
It's the network television premiere of How
ML Elric.
Stole Christmas. Thursday, November 25th at 8/7 Central, only on
the soul of Detroit.
You asked it around you, the around my face. It's gone. What are you doing? That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might be qualified, ML.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now,
Hey kids, it's your old pal ML Elric coming to you live from Chicago while the usual gang of idiots hangs out there in the basement.
Nice microphone.
You sound wonderful, too.
Yeah, nice microphone.
Are you in a tin can in Chicago?
Way to prepare for this.
Look how bummed out he is already. Look at him. They're going to fix it?
As I was saying, I don't miss these jokers, but this is not a sports podcast. We will be talking about a little sports, but we'll also be talking about a great cause. That's, of course, the Killer Cares event that's coming up December 2nd at the Lodge Bar and Grill in Kego Harbor. And Matt Riley, who's the impresario of all things good and decent and a little bit of Wolverine stuff, is joining us too. But first, we want to tell you about a couple of people who make this show possible. That's Dave Huppard at The Butchery, thebutcherysl.com. If you didn't get your turkey from The Butchery, you should get your order in for next year. We had one at my house this year. It was fantastic. My 82-year-old mother-in-law said it's the best turkey she's ever had. And if you knew my brother-in-law, that's saying quite a bit. So if you want to get your great meats, treats, and eats at The Butchery, you can give them a call at 248-682-COWS. That's 248-682-COWS if you went to a football school like the University of Michigan. When you go to The Butchery,
Oh, yeah, you guys know
how
it's about cows. It's moo-you.
What's that?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Oh, I thought
continue.
Michigan was a football school now because you guys finally won a game.
You can hear the rip when you listen back to the podcast.
Oh, geez. Do I have to listen back to it? Isn't that sort of like John McCain going back to the Hanoi Hilton?
Yeah,
but this time they make him stay. And Trump is his cellmate. So when you go to The Butchery, as I was saying before I so rudely interrupted, you'll find out why Chef Dave and Chef Julie say don't just eat meat, experience it. The Butchery's on Sylvan Lake Road in Orchard Lake. They're closed Mondays and Tuesdays, but every other day of the week. Get in there and get some good stuff. So we had quite a football weekend. Shawn, I think you were in Ann Arbor, right?
I was, and I'm going to give you a second to think of some more similes. But in the meantime, maybe you have some.
Is that where they sent the B team?
Maybe you have some earbuds. Do you have a little bag around there, a little something? Because you could talk. If you put them in, you could talk into a microphone on the earbud.
Wait, so you've had a
Here we go.
podcast
Here we go.
with some
Now
some
we
guy
have
for
another
like 3
live
weeks,
guest.
and now you're a pro?
No, I'm not a pro at all. I
love
just
this. We have a live guest in studio, so you two are going to fight again.
No, we're not fighting at all. I'm politely asking him sincerely with a lot of love in my heart. And wondering if
a lot of sheen on that dome.
If you have, well, that's fine too. You're right. I'm bald. I wondered though if you actually had some earbuds.
Ladies and gentlemen, the United States second president, John Adams, joins us. Just as popular today as he was back then.
Well, you have a separated at birth today. You look just like, and you're the one that came up with it, right, Shawn?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear my.
Look at the pants.
Oh, he's leaving. Where's he going?
Look at the MSU sweatpants. Or those might be his pajamas. I'm not sure.
We don't even know what he's in Chicago for, do we?
No, he won't tell us. I don't know why.
Oh, he changed.
No, why?
Oh, he changed.
Whoa! Because he put buds in it. So now it's just going to loop back.
Yeah.
And now we can hear him talk. I think you might want to disconnect those now.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Thanks for trying, though.
Thanks for doing it before the show.
Yeah, that was a nice try.
You okay there? Can you hear us, ML?
I think you need to change.
I can't hear you through these devices that Shawn said would work so well.
Those were his hearing aids. He needs to change the batteries.
He's so bummed. Every week he gets so bummed out.
I meant the kind you plug in.
Oh, now his Zoom is totally shut down too.
I meant the kind you plug in that you have a microphone that hangs on the cord, right?
Oh, I knew exactly what you meant. I mean, I would have done that. You would have done that. He would have done that. Anyway, is he gone on Zoom, or can you guys see him on Zoom?
Sorry.
There he is.
You can see him.
What'd you say the name was, Matt? Herbie? No.
Herbie the dentist from Rudolph.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because he's got a little winter cap and he's got a little tuft of blonde hair sticking out.
And he belongs on the. He's got to head to the island of
Shawn.
Shawn, you do look like Herbie's boss.
It won't be long, Elric, before you're on the island of misfit toys. Trust me.
Actually, I think you may be there right now, man. I'm at an undisclosed location. I'm in a safe house.
That's where I spend every Christmas. Is the island of misfit toys.
Tell us why you're in Chicago, Mikey.
Because after not making really any sacrifice whatsoever, I didn't get out of town for a whole year. So I decided it's time to hit the road and spend some time with my wife away from phone calls and idiots. I kind of batting 500, but
well, good. You
actually, I'm
deserve it.
batting 0 because I'm on a phone call. Damn it!
You
This
deserve
didn't
some
work out
time.
at all.
So it's a break, a vacation. That's nice. You deserve it.
As readers of the Free Press say, you deserve a break too, Shawn. Please take some time off.
I think I will.
Excellent.
I think I will.
And you know, if you're out and about and you're looking for a way to blow off some steam, why not check out the Caju Cafe? It's an East Side institution. Last week, you may have heard Laith Al Sadi, who dropped in and performed a few tunes live for us. Well, he's playing live this weekend at the Caju. That's December 3rd and 4th. You can get tickets at eventbrite.com, or you can find a link at our website, mlsouldetroit.com. He takes the stage at the Caju Cafe this weekend, and you can find out about all the live music and all the great events going on at the Caju Cafe by going to cajucafe.com. It's a great place to feather bowl, have a drink, hear some live music, meet some friends, and just in general have a good time. And now they have pinball. So they pretty much got it all at the Caju Cafe. Everything but us, but we will be doing a live broadcast from there soon. So stick around for more details on that, to be announced in the new year.
Beautiful. Now, you want to welcome in our guest?
Yes, Mr. Matt Riley here, one of the most beneficent guys you'll ever meet. The major domo, which I think is a good thing, behind the Killers Cares event. This is a huge fundraiser for kids' charities, and Matt supports just about every good cause you can find. Matt, thanks for all you do, and tell us a little bit about what's going on this Thursday, December 2nd at the Lodge.
Well, I appreciate the intro. I'm not sure I could live up to that at all, especially after my performance on Saturday and my performance down here on Sunday night. So
you sound fantastic compared to how you sounded on Sunday, both on Drew and Mike and on Fox 2.
It's amazing what a full 8 hours of sleep will do.
Well, it's funny because I talked to you on Friday. I'm like, you're going to need a nap come Tuesday because you were just running all over the place, and
I got it all in
instead
last
you decided to come here.
Yeah. So anyway, we're really looking forward to this Thursday night at the Lodge in Kego Harbor, which is right down the road from the butchery. So we missed last year because of COVID. So with the year off, we decided to get a little more aggressive with our fundraising along sponsorships. And sitting here today, we're just in funds raised through a handful of donations and a lot of sponsorships where ML, you'll appreciate this. We took the University of Michigan route, if you will, and basically sponsored everything we could. What does Michigan do, Mark? What is the name of the head coach?
Oh, the Jay Ira and Nikki Harris family head coach. I think that's who sponsors it.
Yeah, exactly. So we basically
Wonderful family.
Yeah,
not at all egotistical douchebags.
No,
your school does it too.
So we basically
we don't. We have the Matt Ishbia just forked over a lot of money, but didn't insist that his name be put on the coach's title.
I'm going to look this up because I'm almost pretty sure that the head coach is endowed.
Is
that some sort of crack?
No. Colleges need all the money they can get.
Wait. Can we? Mark said he thinks that the
I know.
head
I realized the
coach
phrasing
is endowed.
I realized the phrasing was a little poor.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh dear.
I mean, yeah. So anyway, I digress. So basically, we're sitting here now. We should walk in the doors Thursday afternoon with about $80,000 already raised.
Damn.
Yeah. So we've got just a great crew this year. Great. You guys have always been so good to us in terms of, volunteering your time. I always say that anybody can stroke the check, but you can't make more time. And you guys, year after year, Mark, ML, a list of like 40 bartenders come every year.
It's the easiest thing to do. I mean, you act so thankful for us doing it, but it's fun. It's a fun night for us, man. We get to see people and help out.
So we've basically we start silent auction starts at 4:00. The bartenders start rolling in at 6. I've got about 6 or 7 celebrities on every shift. We have 50-50s, a couple 50-50s throughout the night. Of course, Killer's Cooler, which is a marine-sized cooler loaded up with every bottle of booze imaginable.
Oh, it's the best, yeah.
And we have 3 different liquor sponsors. Well, they're not sponsors because they can't be sponsors, but we're featuring 3 different. We have Tito's Vodka and we have Bardstown Bourbon and Siempre Tequila. So they've all kicked into the cooler. So we've got the cooler drawing, of course. Silent auction, we'll probably end up with about 60 items, lots of cool stuff. Dylan Larkin has just come through huge. We have his gloves. We have a full jersey signed by the whole team. His gloves are signed, monogrammed with D-Boss on them, which is pretty hip. Lots of tickets for Red Wing games.
D-Boss, that's the nickname?
Well, yeah. Do you remember when he was 13 years old, he made the YouTube video?
Oh, yeah.
And well, of course they gave him crap for that in the locker room. and it took him
That's funny. I didn't realize.
Oh, that. Yeah. Well, he ended up embracing it, a few years later.
He got to.
Yeah. And so, all his gloves are monogrammed with D-Boss. They actually had a bobblehead night. No, this is cool. Where it was the D-Boss bobblehead where it's him at 13 years old. Remember with the You watched the video with with the flag over his shoulder sitting on the couch.
I didn't know they did that. That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, in fact, I gotta get one of those and get him to
good
sign
sense
them.
of humor.
Yeah, I've got my Michigan State hockey tickets for Yost. I think it's in February, which are some nice seats up in the club. Lots of good stuff.
And all this money goes to children charities.
Yeah, we've got 4 charities this year. We started, of course, Killer started this event probably 16 years ago at the Brew House, and his first charity was Our Children's Fund, which helps all the kids in Kego and Sylvan Lake area, those who go without at Christmas, so we still continue to support them. Team Joseph, of course, Duchenne Muscular Dystrophy Research and Family Assistance Program. So we get some of the kids' vans and stuff like that, flights to different doctors. Jeff Sackler's group, Defeat the Label, which is anti-bullying. And this year we added Jennifer Hammond's got a pet cause of hers, and we added that into our group, which is the Downtown Boxing Gym, which is the gym in Detroit that has the Books Before Boxing program.
So you have all these celebrity bartenders, and you do the schedule, right?
Correct.
Who's the biggest pain in the ass to work around? Is there someone that demands a certain time? Or?
No. I'll just say it right out. There's only one person who always demands a certain time, and it's like she comes with a rider. It's Jennifer Hammond. Far not.
Gee, what made me think of that question?
No, it's Hammer, and I love her for it. She always wants to be on with Jamie Edmonds and whatever. It's good, but she's great. She's in the 9 to 10 slot with Larry Murphy, Jamie Edmonds, Stoney, Craig Monroe, and Gator Anderson.
That's a good group.
Yeah, and then the Mark, Drew, Mark, Maz, Braylon Edwards, Trudy, Brandon, and White Boy Rick Worshey are on at 7 to 8.
I love how Braylon's in the middle of that lineup.
Yeah.
He just doesn't really, fit with the group, but I'll take it.
Perfect.
I'll serve him White Boy Rick. Wow.
White Boy Rick. Then we got Thomas Hearns coming. Great group. Lomas Brown.
Mickey, D-Mac.
Ken Daniels. TJ Lang.
Wow.
Yeah.
A full house.
Is that the country singer?
Yeah, that's country singer from Calgary. That would be KD Lang. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think she had more big Hitsville lines than he did. But,
she did.
That's okay.
Constant Craving. Don't ask me why I even know that.
It's a catchy tune. So Matt, tell us a little bit about, first of all, how I can put a bid in on those hockey tickets, and also give us a word about Killer, because I hate to say this, but he's been gone so long. I think some people kind of forget who he was, and he was a pretty big and beloved figure on the Detroit sports scene for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, Killer was a good friend of mine. He's one of those guys that literally you miss every day. He, believe it or not, he passed away at 51. He was a beat writer for the Lions for 30 years, which is incredible. In fact, he just went into the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame in October this year. But he was a big guy, and he really was gruff. I mean, in fact, I was in here the other day, and my voice was a little roached from the weekend. And all I could think of was like whenever I was out with Killer, some of you guys have been around me after a few drinks late at night, and Killer used to say stuff like, dude, I only understand like 1 out of 3 words coming out of your mouth, or you need to come with subtitles. So so he's one of those guys who was really hard on you. He had the biggest heart of just about anybody. And of course it sucks that it was his heart that took him down. But he had a thing. I'll give you a real quick story. So he and Shawn were, they were on the air together at the Fan, 11:30. And Shawn's kids were young. I can't believe Shawn's son Jack, was like in college or graduating.
Should be graduated by now.
Yeah. In fact, in Chicago. But anyway, Shawn told me a story about Killer. He goes, it was like midnight, Christmas Eve, and Shawn Blegian at his house, and all of a sudden he heard something outside, and he opens up the door, and it's Killer running away in 6 inches of snow in his shorts and of course in his white tennis shoes. He had just dropped off packages for Jack on the porch, and he was like, "Dude, you weren't supposed to see me."
That's a great story.
Yeah.
No, I remember going out to a Lions practice, and I don't do what you sports writers do, and so it's a little weird. You feel like you don't belong if you're not that guy, and immediately he's like, "You're coming with me," and just kind of showed you the ropes for that 1 day or 2 days, and you didn't need to do that.
Yeah,
no, the only one that did it. Shawn didn't do it for me.
No,
I don't remember seeing you out there.
I was there for 1 day, Shawn.
Yeah, no, he was a great presence. Back in those days, in Allen Park at Ford at the practice facility, there was a little room. It's a much bigger room now, but it was a tight little room for the media, and he used to sit in there. Of course, he'd hold court, with the voice. And you were talking about his heart and how much he cared. I used to always say to him, because he was a I don't know if he fancied himself a little bit of a libertarian, but he liked to talk politics all the time. And I used to say, "You are way too nice and care too much about people to be a Republican." and then he would come back at me, and we would playfully go at it. But it was fun. He was one of the rare people that you could have fun with that way and talk with that way, and not ever have it get too angry. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I always really respected that about him.
Look at the legacy he's left, man.
Yep. Real quick, there was a guy, and it shall remain nameless, but he had his own website, and he's been very rough on a lot of media people and things like that, and the Lions. And he had the only one he ever spoke positive and still has the ultimate respect for is Killer, and because Killer would respond to him in a nice way and say, you need to channel your energy elsewhere. I mean,
sounds like Killer.
And real quickly to your point about him taking you under his wing that day in practice, I think he did that with a lot of people. Yeah. In general, I remember.
I didn't think I was special. I just
no. You're very special, and of course, Mike Elrick's special, and he needs to talk because it's been a little bit. But the first time I was in Green Bay for a football game, I was filling in because something had happened. I don't remember. I got a call from my sports editor. Said, "Hey, can you get to Green Bay this weekend?" And I said, "Sure." So he pulls me aside. We're sitting there eating lunch before the game. Eating whatever it was, sandwiches. And he pulls me aside. And this was when Twitter was just kind of getting rolling. And he's like, "You got to start branding. You got to do this." And he was ahead of the curve with social media, right? I mean, because the way he carried himself, that big burly guy and the mustache, you wouldn't think you might make certain assumptions, and you would have been wrong. He was really sophisticated and saw a lot of where we are now. He saw that coming 15 years ago.
One of the first to live stream. Remember, and it was funny because everyone made fun of him because he always had trouble with the camera.
Oh man!
Well, not all of us judge people on their appearances like Shawn Windsor does, but he was a great guy, and I love seeing him mix it up with Pat Caputo way back when there was a lot more of a dynamic sports radio scene where we had a couple of stations, and it seemed like there was just energy all over the place in this town.
What were we going to say, Mark?
Nothing. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll just say that again, the event is Thursday night at the Lodge Bar and Grill in Kego Harbor. Silent auction starts at 4. Bartenders start at 6. Again, every hour I've got about 6 or 7 new ones coming in. A lot of the names we mentioned, and it is free admission, and we have free valet parking. for everybody.
I know you have to go, but any more thoughts on Saturday? Because I can't stop reliving it and thinking about it.
It's Elric doesn't want to hear this, but I mean, it's the best day I've ever had in there. I mean, I think it's obviously the biggest win since '69. I mean,
I've heard other people say that. You really believe that? In fact, I got a text yesterday from Michigan people that were saying it was since '69. I said, "What about the title in '97?
What about '95 and '96?"
And they're like, "Nope." They were like, "Nope. This means more."
Yeah, I mean, if that '97 Rose Bowl game, I mean.
Is that because we had lost so many times in the last 2 decades? Yeah.
I just think everything where Harbaugh's situation, Mark, you and I, at the beginning of the year, I mean, I'm thinking 7-5.
Yeah. No, well, Shawn Windsor, the Swami over here, you had him at 9-3, and ML gave you nothing but shit for it. And now you're the only
win, doesn't he?
You're the only one that predicted.
I had it at 1-10, so I just had reversed it.
You do every year though, but you're the only guy that picked a Michigan victory. Publicly in the papers, locally.
Yeah.
I was just lucky. I mean, I picked Penn State to win.
Wait, then why did you do it? Why'd you? If it would,
I picked Penn State to beat Michigan State, so it just shows you how much I don't know shit.
Okay, so why did you pick Michigan to beat Ohio State?
Because there are a few reasons. The on-field reason is I thought the Michigan matched up well. I felt like with their ends. And David Ojabo, not that we want to get too much on that because as Mike says, this is not a sports podcast. I felt their two rush ins with Aiden Hutchinson and David Ojabo would hurry their young quarterback, C.J. Stroud, would hurry him up. And that would force enough punts to keep them, in the 30 range. And one day end up with the 27 or so. Yeah. And that Michigan was going to be able to physically kind of overwhelm them. And that as good as Kenneth Walker is, he's kind of a Barry Sanders all or nothing. And that didn't work because Ohio State has good tackles. Whereas Hassan Haskins gets into that second level and then falls forward 3-4 yards almost every time. So I felt like they'd be able to eat the clock to shrink the game, control with Haskins. And then I feel like my last point is the quarterback, Cade McNamara.
Yeah, I liked your
To me, has been underrated all year long. He's made the play in most of the games that's sometimes just a picking up a 3rd and 4 to keep a drive going that's critical, whatever. And he has a knack for that. And I felt like he would do just enough of that. And he did. And then you add in what you're talking about with 1969. That team was sick and tired of hearing it. That coach was sick and tired of hearing it. When I heard Josh Ross on Monday last week, their linebacker say, we're tired of talking about it. And he stopped himself. He didn't want to say, but you could hear in his answer, they knew they were going to win. Yeah. You could hear it.
I thought it was because DJ Khaled did the pep talk in the locker room.
Did it?
No, and they overwhelmed him, man. They physically overwhelmed him. Did you hear Josh Gaddis yesterday or the day? He was on a radio somewhere saying he thought they were soft.
Good. I love that.
And Harbaugh's talking about Ryan Day being born on third base and thinking he hit a triple. And
Well, there is something. I mean, although they've gotten all these 5 stars. If you look at their 5 stars, a lot of them are speed guys, and
they're young.
Yeah, and there is something to be said
they're really young. And when Harbaugh said that, I thought, okay, Ohio State's going to get them pretty good next year.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing, and this may be my last point. Sorry, Mike. The handful of times Michigan's had a good team the last 20 years, the 2 or 3 times they've had a good, really good team, that game has been in Columbus. This is in 2006 and 2016, which were their best 2 teams in the last 20 years, other than this year's team. They were both in Columbus. This is the first time it worked out that game was here, and you saw it in the false starts.
Yeah.
That was the loudest 100%. Crowd I've ever heard in that stadium, and home field advantage, especially in college football, it matters. And I just so that was my line of thinking.
No contrarian there. You didn't just pick them to be opposite of everyone.
No, and I got shit in the press box when I first got in that I was the only one. I'm like, you know what?
Who gave you shit?
I could be. Nick Baumgartner started off, and he's like, "You're just trying to be contrarian." I said, "No, you know football. Don't you understand what's coming? This is going to be a game." I just figured it would be a late 4th quarter game, and they would find a way to finally make the play to do it.
It kind of was. I mean, that was pretty tight for a while.
Mark, did you see the YouTube piece that I sent you?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Is that incredible?
I mean, relief is really the best explanation.
Yeah.
But again, I picked Penn State, so what the fuck do I know?
Yeah. What do you think about that, ML?
Well, it's not a sports podcast. We don't really have any knowledgeable sports people on it. But But I did want to let you know before we go, if you want to donate to the Killers Cares, you can go to killerscares.org. That's killercares.org. You want to talk about a good cause, that's one to give it to. But hey, I'll tell you what, we were watching in East Lansing. I had a tailgate in East Lansing, and we were watching the Michigan game with great interest. I missed the beginning of the Michigan State game because we were waiting to see if Ohio State could pull it out, because it was a very exciting game. It felt like Michigan was in control the whole time, but in a game like this, you're never quite sure who's going to make the mistake or who's going to make the big play that swings the whole damn thing. So it was a great game to watch. It was a game that had me scratching my head saying, why didn't we put up a better showing against Ohio State? Now, of course,
bad matchup.
We're a snow team. Yep. So there was no snow.
Bad matchup, man.
Snow team. No.
Real quickly.
Who are you rooting for? Just out of curiosity.
That's good. Like I said last time, I was rooting for Ohio State. I don't want Michigan. I don't want to win the coin toss.
Kindred spirits. And by the way, real quickly.
In fact, Harbaugh after the game said the Big Ten apologized for using a double-headed coin in the coin toss, but he said they overcame that. They got right past it.
Mike, the Michigan State was just a bad matchup. Their best of two defensive players are their defensive tackles, and it just doesn't matter against Ohio State at all.
Dude, 56-7.
Well, again,
it's more than a bad matchup, okay, brother.
What Shawn said before,
it's a terrible
I know
matchup.
You want to love everybody, but that was an ass whooping of historic.
No, but football's like that. You get a bad matchup, and all of a sudden it's down 2 touchdowns, and it snowballs in a hurry, especially with an explosive offense. And they could not pressure Stroud all day long. They don't have the defense to do it.
I just don't like that you were rooting against me to have any joy. That's very selfish.
No, state fans are kindred. Ohio State, Michigan State, they're kindred souls.
To that point,
talk to Jim Schaefer. He roots for Michigan State.
How often is that?
We're not kindred souls. When you have a rivalry, you don't want your rival to do well. I'm 100%. Sure for years, Oklahoma fans wanted Nebraska to lose every game.
No, but you both hate Ohio State.
Alabama to lose every game.
No. You both hate Ohio State. You both think Michigan looks down on you, which is true. Right. I mean, so you have a couple things in common.
And to that point, remember the old, kind of the old radio trope, if Michigan could beat one of them, who do you want them to beat this year? I think that this year finally answered that question.
I was going to say
all along always said it's Ohio State. I can take losing to Michigan State if we can beat Ohio State. If that's the prisoner's dilemma, we have to
choice.
What do you think, Mike, as a Spartan? Would you rather have the reverse, lose to Michigan this year and be playing in Indy this Saturday?
Of course, I'd rather be playing in Indy. In fact, if we hadn't lost to Purdue, I think we would be playing in Indy.
No, you wouldn't. Ohio State would have been playing in Indy with the tiebreaker system, and that would have been, brutal for both of you. You know what I mean?
Oh my God!
I could have lived with it. But here's the thing that I'm wondering about, and this is a classic Michigan situation. I think Michigan finally wins a game, and all of a sudden the big boy pants come out of the closet. The khaki pants get unfolded. And Harbaugh's already talking Yang. I'm like, dude, you know what? You really want to put together a streak before you start talking shit like that. And I just
no, that's sports. What have you done for me lately?
He knows it's his one chance to be on top. But I saw his comments after the game, and I thought to myself,
you mean about Ryan Day?
Cool.
Do you think
I just thought that was stupid.
That's Ohio State's coach, listener.
Yeah, but that's a response to I want to hang 100 on him. Yeah. And so do you guys think that what he meant by that was like, hey, when you took over the program, they were already great?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Absolutely. But
credit for the
CJ
streak.
Stroud's his guy. He's coached these guys.
No, and that's not fair because Day took some of Myers' guys and unlocked even more out of them.
I couldn't agree more.
I mean, that wasn't really a...
Well, no, and
that's what I mean. I thought that's the one you don't want to kick the bear.
Well, Luke Fickell went 6-6 after Trussell too, right? Yeah. So Day did do something with it, but as far as shit talk goes, I'll take it. I think it's fun.
Yep, I agree.
They were not as good up front
I think
as they usually are.
And wants to talk to Yang, he better do it when he can.
Yeah. On that note, I'm going to run, guys. ML, thank you for everything.
Killercares.org. And that reminds me, one of our sponsors is heavily involved too.
Correct.
Oh my God.
I just want to say, Luke,
generous gentleman.
Luke Nowacki, not only incredibly generous. I'll just give you a quick story, ML, and this won't surprise you. Luke was more than generous. I don't want to say how much he gave, but we have an event sponsor. that I held to task this year for a chunk of money. The event sponsor gave $7,500. Luke came close to that just on his own. And I asked him, did he want, we actually were sponsoring everything, the bathrooms, I told you the valet parking, everything. So for $5,000, you could reserve 2 bar stools because we usually don't have bar stools. I know it sounds like a lot, but, So a couple companies did that. And I asked Luke if he wanted a couple bar stools. And he said, nope. He said, I don't want any recognition. He said, in fact, can you do something to raise more money? And he came up with an idea of using like cocktail napkins or a sticker on the bar with a QR code that would go directly to the website to make donations, which was brilliant. And we adopted. So not only did Luke give money anonymously, which is I'm making that
not anymore, but yeah,
not anymore. But he gave us a great idea to raise more money. So, and
not only that, if he has money left, he could probably endow a coach at Michigan State, because I'm looking at SpartanFund.net and they are available. No one has done it yet. For $5 million, you can endow the head coach of football, or Izzo, or the women's basketball coach for $2 million. Doesn't seem very equal. Or any head coach in any other sport for $1 million.
So that's a tribute to MSU, because there are guys who've given way more than that who are skipping the endowment, the name, which is great.
By the way, Matt, I have a question for you. Why isn't Mike a celebrity bartender?
He is, but he's in Chicago. He's done it every year.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because he's the biggest celebrity on the list.
I think so. It's either him or I would go with Jennifer Hammond. There you go.
Or Woody.
Yeah.
Or Woody.
No, actually,
Woody's the closer.
The lodge paid for my trip to Chicago because they realized that my 1 for you, 1 for me bartending thing is seriously cut into their overhead.
Okay,
and it's made them difficult for them to sponsor this on a financial.
Wait, we're allowed to do that?
While we're at that, I mean, I hate to say so. Hammer's comes with the rider. Woody is the closing act, so he's probably the most fun bartender. But the bartender, and he won't mind me saying this because I say it every year, the guy who does absolutely nothing behind the bar is Wojo.
I thought you were going to say Drew.
That's not surprising.
My money was on Drew.
Yeah. All right, guys, I've eaten enough of your time.
Thank you,
guys.
Yeah, well, thanks. Matt. I'm going to make a donation from here in Chicago, and I wish I could be there. I tend to drive the bidding up on a lot of items,
yes,
and I tend to fail to drive the bidding up, which is why one year I had to walk out of there with a giant pink cat house.
Yeah, I do remember that.
It was a big kiddie playhouse. I tried to drive the bidding up on everything. I'm not a good judge of what people will really want, so I ended up buying a lot of stuff. And one year I bought this massive plastic pink, I don't even know what the hell was going on with it, with kittens and stuff. And when it was time at the end of the night to take all the stuff home, I said, can you guys keep that in the back? And is there like an entrance I can drive around to get that and walk out with it? Because by the time I leave, everybody's pretty well toasted. So the ball busting, which starts early, never stops. Yep. And they're like, well, no, we're closing. So I had to walk out of the bar carrying this massive thing. And I think I also had bought like a Pamper Me package for my wife. So they're like, dude, what are you doing here?
It's just another effect of the I'm 1 for you, 1 for me.
Did Rudolph enjoy the pink kitten?
And all I really wanted was to be a dentist.
Thank you, Matt.
Right, guys.
And I do want to mention Luke Nowacki at Pinnacle Wealth, 248-663-4748. He will provide you with rational financial advice, bonds, stocks. What do you want to do? How should you allocate your 401k? This is the stuff Luke knows. So get advice, get a strategy. Call Luke Nowacki at Pinnacle Wealth, 248-663-4748.
Because it'll make it all about you and the kids, sweetheart.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associates Inc. Member FINRA SIPC. Royal Alliance Associates Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Royal Alliance Associates Inc.
Oh man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
Does him wanting to play with us again mean that he's turning into a geek, or we're turning into cool guys?
So this week's Geek of the Week is a guy who only sees the glass half full, who lives to denigrate people, and who really has sort of a Grinchy spirit. And that's Shawn Windsor, who predicted that your Michigan Wolverines would finish a paltry 9-3, when in fact,
the glass half full, I knew it was me.
These Valiants finished 11-1. And so, Shawn, I think for your complete and utter lack of faith, for your inability to see the talent that was so abundant to everybody else. You, sir, are a Geek of the Week.
Oh, thank you.
I just want to follow up too, because we had a little text conversation after Saturday, which you brought up the whole if it was snowing we'd beat Ohio State too, all that stuff. But you did say congrats first in your little video of you dancing. That was nice. But I said whatever excuses make you feel better. And you said by Wolverine logic, we're better than Ohio State, which I don't know why
that's right.
I don't know why that's Wolverine logic, but that's
because every time we beat somebody that you guys beat, like, we're better than Wisconsin.
And people can daisy chain all day long, but you wrote, seriously, congratulations. Traffic in Indy will be worse, and you're playing Iowa, so you're going to the college football playoffs. And I said, nothing's a guarantee, especially when Michigan plays Iowa, if anybody knows that history. And I'm not going to Indy, once again, until January 10th. And you got really mad at that. You said the Wolverine fans really are the worst based on that. And I said, no,
they travel really well.
I was being simultaneously pessimistic and optimistic.
They travel really well. Not as well as the Buckeyes. That they travel better than anybody in the Big Ten. But yeah.
Do you think they travel better than Iowa? I think Iowa travels pretty well too, because any chance to get out of Iowa, is a good excuse.
In my experience, just covering the Big Ten basketball, football the last however many years, 10 years, 10, 15 years, Ohio State travels the best for football and Michigan State travels the best for basketball.
Well,
and that makes sense, right? I mean, they're traditionally, at least the last 20 years, the top of the league programs, right?
So, by the way, do I sound better? I do have the AirPods on. I want to see if Shawn's advice worked.
Well, I was thinking of the earbuds where you have a microphone right under your mouth.
Yeah, I don't have a jack for that on this ancient laptop. But,
thanks for making
is that a yes or a no?
You sound about the same.
Okay.
But can you hear better? Can you hear better? Because that's important too.
No, I can hear better, which is why I don't like these.
Mark, I knew that was
that might be your funniest joke I've ever heard from you.
So
congratulations.
So
finally, I took a lot of bad ones.
I thought the John McCain Hanoi Hilton was
he's on a roll today. He's not angry.
We'll save this for the green room.
I thought that was pretty
before
good.
We get out of Geek of the Week, Shawn, of course, I am jesting. You were the only sports writer who saw a successful season ahead for Michigan. I'm not sure you picked the victories right.
I didn't.
But what did you have for Michigan State? I could not find that as I was looking up in my show prep.
I picked them at 7-5 or 8-4. 7-5.
Okay.
8-4. One of those two.
8-4 is reasonable. 7-5 is a little shitty, but yeah. So, and your Michigan State Spartans ended up 10-2.
Well,
and,
I picked.
of course, as Shawn acknowledged earlier, he did pick the winner of the Ohio State Michigan game. He thought it'd be a squeaker, and I really think it was a dominating performance by the Wolverines, the kind I've been waiting for a long time. And I think one of the reasons why it was so dominant is because Harbaugh did something that he should have done early on, which is pick a frigging quarterback and stick with them when he juggled it around. That's when he blew the Michigan State game. Yeah. And finally, this is the first time, I think, probably in 20 years, maybe 15 years, where I've seen Michigan with a dominant ground game. And I think Michigan without powerful running backs is not Michigan football.
I will say this regarding your quarterback comment. JJ played a good amount, and when he played, he had big plays in that game.
He did, including a beautiful pass to Roman Wilson down the side.
In the Ohio State game?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Oh, I must have missed that part. I was building a bonfire.
He didn't play much.
No couches.
Look, I mean, it'd be fun to sit here and say, it'd be fun. It's just not my nature to sit here and say, yeah, I was right, whatever. It was lucky, dude. And just remember,
you need occasion to say you were right.
I picked Michigan. I picked Michigan to beat Michigan State. I was wrong about that.
Oh my God.
No. Like I said, this is one of the rare occasions we can actually give you some credit for prognostication.
Although I thought
we want to seize it in the same way that Jim Harbaugh rarely gets opportunities to mock Ohio State.
And that's a credit to Mel Tucker and what Michigan State did this year, because to be honest, that Michigan State game was a couple of plays here and there when they were up by 16, right, at one point, from really getting out of hand. And Michigan Blake Corum dropped a ball at one point. There were a couple of little things. This always happens in football where the game's going to pivot one way or the other. And it didn't. And Michigan State then got a little momentum, and Kenneth Walker happened, right?
And I can't believe
I understand there were some officiating matters that may have impacted the final outcome.
There were.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
From a certain certain guy whose pants are a little too tight in the wrong places.
He wasn't wrong, and neither was Mel when he talked about Purdue either.
I didn't hear Mel say anything about it. I heard Mel say something like back that Brinks truck up to the Tucker estate. That's the only thing I heard him say that week.
Well, I
want to go back to this our little colloquy there on Saturday. Michigan fans are dying to big time it. They finally have an opportunity to big time it and roll into this Big Ten championship game with some confidence. And this sort of, I don't know. It's like, where does that come from? I don't understand that. Maybe you're the anomaly among Michigan fans because they're usually claiming victory even when they lose.
Because there was a humility. Can I say that, Mark?
Sure.
From my perspective,
there is no humility in Ann Arbor.
No.
There's hummus, but no humility.
Well, I'll talk about myself. I try to be as realistic as I can at looking at these things, and this team has been very hard to figure out. Maybe it's because I'm not the biggest fan of Harbaugh's coaching. Maybe it's because last year was a disaster. So I'm fully on board. In all honesty, I'm fully on board. I think this is a legitimate, great team. I mean, slow down, right? The season's pretty much over, and I'm just now realizing
that wasn't the emotion, Mike. If they start rolling and go back to kind of what they were under Carr, where they had really good teams every couple of years and start beating State every 3 out of 4, 4 out of 5, like they did for 20 years there, then you'll start to see that. But right now, they're so used to. Michigan State's won how many? 9 of the last 12. Ohio State had won 16 of the last 17. That's what I'm talking about. Not humility. They'd been humbled. And what I saw Saturday in Ann Arbor was people weeping.
What?
No, seriously. There were people crying.
Wow, that must have been hammered.
Like tears of no.
I know some people cry.
No, yeah. It was kind of, I think people were stunned that it actually happened. You were a bit, right, Mark?
Well, I mean, my wallet knew. Right? That's what I can't believe you predicted the game right, and then you decide to point out all the ones you've gotten wrong. That is so Shawn of you. Take a victory lap.
No,
man.
I'm not going to do it, man.
Why?
Because it's a toss up. Take
a victory lap.
I hate predicting games. They make us do it, so I do it.
They are really.
I hate. It's by far the least favorite part of my job, other than
when we did sports radio. I said the dumbest bit in sports radio is predictions because they don't matter.
People like them.
Do they really?
I get email. I've been getting emails from people all season about how everyone I miss.
Well, that's just people that want to give you shit.
Well, of course.
As far as listening to the radio, I don't care what this person thinks the final score is.
But that doesn't matter, right? Because I didn't. I never put anything.
Now, is there some peril for the beat writers who pick against the team they cover? Like I'm thinking of everybody voted against Michigan. And I'm wondering if you're that beat writer and you walk into that locker room, particularly the guy covering the Wolverines is fairly new. Does he have to walk in that locker room and have a bunch of guys say, okay, mister, what do you think about us now? Thanks for having the faith in us. Thanks for having the confidence in us.
Well, there are two things. One, first of all, no, because COVID has changed. And even before, you never walked into Michigan's locker room or any college locker room except for at bowl games. That's when you could go into the locker rooms. You go into the NFL locker rooms, but that's changed too with COVID. So
those kids don't read the paper.
And some do, but they don't care. They understand it's a prediction business. I don't think you're much more likely to get crap if you write something that's harsh about somebody.
Oh, like an individual.
So tell us a little bit about that. When you're the beat writer and you have a daily interaction with these folks, do people tend to pull punches, or when they give it to them straight hard, do they know, well, it's going to be a tough day tomorrow when I walk in?
No, they know, but
I better be ready.
It's more about with the beat guys because they kind of have to play it down. Although these days the lines are much more blurry between commentary and just sort of reporting, right? So that's part of it. And you have plenty of beat people that also kind of write columns, like at MLive, like Kyle Meinke, for example, who covers the Detroit Lions. He does both. Mike, the bigger issue I think is where beat writers face it are the questions. If you're asking a tough question, that's where you're a lot more likely to get.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
You're a lot more likely to get pushback. But sometimes you like if you write a column and you're critical. I mean, Drew Sharp always talked about this and taught me this. If you're going to be critical, show up the next day or the next opportunity.
Absolutely.
So they can say something. I remember one time I wrote about Dominic Royola, a column, and he'd gotten into it to fans. It was like this. He'd done some really stupid things, and it was like the sixth or seventh time he'd done it. And I called him, and I called him out, and I called him dunderheaded, and that was the word I used. And it was probably not the best word to use, but he was so mad. And,
in any context.
Yeah, he was so mad he wanted to kill me. No, he didn't want to kill me, but he was
Should
so
you
mad.
not have used that word because it's like nobody's used it since the 30s?
Well, maybe too, but I guess it's the same as knucklehead or whatever. But anyway, the Lions,
disingenuous mountebank.
The Lions kind of brokered a meeting, so I had to go to practice and wait for him. And he was walking off the field, and Stafford was with him. And he came up, and he was so.
And you sacked him.
And I was standing next to the
Stafford, right?
Yeah, I was standing.
You intercepted him and took it back.
I was standing next to the media relations guy.
Stafford when Raiola was a center.
Yeah, Bill Keenest, who was a media relations guy, was standing next to me. He'd the one that brokered the meeting. And here comes Raiola, and he's got steam coming out of his ears, and he's so mad. And he walks up, and he said, "I am a 10-year veteran. I am a grown man." And he said it with all this, there's rage in his voice. And Stafford said, keep cool. And then he left. And then I just listened to him for a minute, 30 seconds. It wasn't that long. And then he left. And that was it. He wanted to vent to me. The next week I was in Pittsburgh, and he walked up and stuck his hand out and apologized. And I said, I'm sorry. I probably could have used a few different words. And that was it. And he was kind the rest of the time.
But don't you think, it does have a chilling effect on some reporters, especially like I think ML was saying, beat reporters, to say anything negative? I mean, maybe more columnists because they're the ones that are going to.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean,
really?
No. I mean, most beat guys and gals, it has more to do with the kind of questions that you ask. Because, it's not, and Mike will tell you this from his days as investigative reporter, it's not easy to ask certain kind of questions sometimes, right? Especially you go into these locker rooms.
Yeah.
And these guys are 300 pounds. I mean, there's just that natural.
Because Valeni gets a lot of shit because he doesn't go to games and he's a flamethrower, right? But I've always defended that because, there's a lot of people that listen to him that don't go and have to confront him either. So it's kind of the voice of the fan.
He used to go, right? Because I remember seeing him a long time
and
ago.
then he stopped going. But I thought too much was being made of that. It's like, well, you know what? Not everybody has access, and they still have opinions about it, and that's fine. You don't need to. You can say what you want to say and not have to confront the people. It's almost good having that wall there sometimes.
That's true sometimes.
No, I think it's important to show up, and I think Drew Sharp was especially right because first of all, when you show up, you make it clear that you stand behind what you said, and you also make it clear that you're not going to be intimidated, and you make it clear that you're willing to stand and take whatever pushback is there. It's
Which
sort of
is
like
not easy, right?
Yeah, I mean, to be the fan who just screams at the players and you see him on the street, you're like, oh, hey, how you doing, Mr. Raiola? Would you sign my kid's baseball hat? Those guys I have no respect for. But to say what you have to say and stand behind it, I think players do respect that. They're going to be mad. I'm sure Raiola's like, what's a dunderhead? Maybe somebody explained it to him and he wasn't so mad afterwards. But
I just don't.
You have to stand behind what you say.
I don't think you have to go to a facility and cover a team to have an opinion about them.
No, but you should interact with them whenever you can when they do their media tour and things like that. I mean, I know Mitch Albom, when there have been times when he's written critical things and people give him a hard time for not being there at the stadium or in the dugout. But there was a time when he was there all the time. And I think he gained some credibility, at least with me as a longtime reader. In fact, I remember, Shawn, you may remember this. Remember when Joaquin Andujar, somebody dumped a bucket of water on his head because he was mad about something that he had written?
Oh, yeah.
That was, and then he did a whole series of columns where he would just say something like, and so is acting like a jackass. Joaquin, was that you? And he made it sort of a running joke. But I do think if you're going to be critical, you have an obligation to show up and allow people to say something back to you. Because if you're somebody calling the 971 hot take line, you're just some goober. Who cares? But if you're getting paid, you have a professional duty to be fair, to be even-handed, and to take a little bit of your own medicine. And one of the moments that I remember vividly from my time in City Hall is when Jerry Oliver, who was the police chief, was coming in, and it was his first press conference, and the Free Press had done some very, very legitimate and very vigilant work, finding out that he had a history of run-ins with women where women accused him of being abusive to them. And when he had his first press conference, everybody was there. This was when the media had multiple reporters in City Hall, and we had a police reporter at the Free Press and all sorts of folks. And this press conference went on and on with him. And I was just there as a City Hall reporter sitting in the back, and nobody asked him, hey, did you beat your wife? And so we get near the end of the press conference, and I said, hey, Chief, ML Elric, Detroit Free Press, there have been a lot of reports saying that you may have a history of being inappropriate with women. Can you speak to that? And the first thing he said was, thank you for asking me that question, because he wanted to address it. He didn't want to bring it up himself, but he was dying for a chance to say what he had to say. And I think when you are critical and when you do show up and when you do give people an opportunity to expound on those things, I think the real deal people appreciate and have something to say. And the little bitches just start ranting and raving and doing what they do, which is good because then we know who's for real and who's a punk.
Fair enough, but it seems like you guys might be the rule or the exception to it, because it seems like there's just a lot of people that don't ask the tough questions or don't, go and talk to those people. It seems like there is more of a chilling effect.
Well, there are
to even ask those questions.
There are plenty of people that ask tough questions. I see it all the time. Okay. I'm talking. What you're talking about more are the people that just their job is to give opinions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's especially true nationally. I mean, even Mike Rosenberg.
Hot take.
Yeah. No, for sure. Let's Skip Bayless and Stephen A. and those guys.
Oh, Skip Bayless, scum of the earth.
But Stephen A. to his credit, Stephen A. Smith, who works for ESPN, to his credit, will go to events and put himself in front of the players he talks about, at least from time to time. So give him that. But Mike Rosenberg, former columnist at the Free Press who writes for Sports Illustrated, just eviscerated Aaron Rodgers a couple of weeks ago, right? He's not going to see him anytime soon. He might in the playoffs.
Easier,
he might in the playoffs. I mean, I don't know if that makes it easier or not. I mean, but Mike was always somebody that around here, if he was critical, I mean, if he criticized, he would show up just like Drew did.
Well, I wouldn't want to see Aaron Rodgers either. He might cough on me.
Yeah, right. But I'm just saying. To Mark's point, there's so many situations now where you get paid to have an opinion, but you're not in a position to go see the people you're criticizing. So
I am not having a good day.
Yeah, it's easy it's easy to piss on the parade. It's a lot harder when you're doing it from the curb.
Yeah, it's like you take shots at me, but you do it to me. So that's the way it should be.
Yeah, actually, I'm being very nice to you because I'm out of the room. If I was there, I'd be nasty, so we could go at it.
Well, and our guest left too, and you guys only
we didn't go at it last week.
That's because we didn't have a guest in studio, did we?
Yeah, we had a guitarist.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh my God.
2 guests.
Oh, they felt like members of the show.
Okay.
Another guy that feels like a member of the show is David Hall from Hall Financial. 866-CALL-HALL, or check out the website callhallfirst.com. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but rates are pretty low. They've been low. Who knows how much longer they're going to be this low? So call the mortgage experts at Hall Financial for a free 5-minute mortgage review. See if you qualify for Hall Financial's no appraisal 8-day close. Your home is worth more than ever. Right now, they have so many 5-star reviews. ML, you gave them a 5-star review. So I think
I gave them 2 5-star reviews. In fact, they just sent me something in the mail. Outlining the new rate they can give me on my one of the mortgages I have with them. And folks, it's like more than a point lower. So That's a deal that you want to check out. Oh yeah. I mean, in fact, as soon as I hang up, I'm going to call Hall.
Yeah. 866-CALL-HALL, callhallfirst.com. They're even available on the weekend, 7 days a week. NMLS number 1467435.
See you again.
There's an all-night party in room 7609. And you can dance together all night if you've got the time.
Okay, so if you're still consuming this podcast, you're just listening. We got rid of all those Facebook Live and those YouTube Live folks who just want to see the show. You are one of the true fans who are here for the beginning to the end. And now you're here for Room 769, our new wave feature where we try and highlight some underappreciated new wave tunes, either from a band that you've always loved but didn't know they played this particular ditty, or from a band that you'd never heard of before. And we've been looking for a theme month. And so far, we've only had one suggestion. That was to do soundtracks. So I've kind of cobbled together a little bit of a hybrid here, where we are going to play new wave tracks in December that have been heard on the show Ashes to Ashes, which is a fantastic British time travel police procedural. It is the second series inspired by Life on Mars, which first was played in England, and then there was an American version. This band you may have heard is called The Passions, with I'm in Love with the German film star.
I think she's in love.
Apparently with someone who's appeared in the German cinema, as they call it in New Wave world. So that's The Passions, sort of a ethereal sound, haunting guitars, sounds a little bit like some very early Cure, who they toured with back in the 1980s.
Good word, by the way.
The first time I used it, I thought it was ethereal, and I was mocked.
I hate that, man.
But the guy who mocked me also slept with a gun under his pillow, and I think may have been a creeper. So
you persevered. You persevered. I'm proud of you.
I pushed through. So, what thoughts on The Passions?
I liked it. I thought it was good. Once again, another band I never heard of.
Yeah, and will never be heard of again. I don't know how the producers of Ashes to Ashes came up with this tune, because it really did not make much of a mark, and they really faded shortly after this hit the charts.
Maybe it was free.
Could be. I'm sure the rights were, what do you got in your pocket? But Ashes to Ashes, have you guys seen this show before?
No.
Okay, Shawn, you're a BritBox guy. You ever catch Ashes to Ashes?
I've not seen it. No, I was just looking at it here.
It's outstanding. Life on Mars. Did you guys ever see Life on Mars?
No. When did these shows come out?
Some time ago. It was a while ago.
What, early 80s?
By the way, where's Teresa? Yeah. Can she wave or say hi to us? Or
no, she's busy doing whatever she's doing. Her podcast comes on after this.
She's indisposed.
She's filling in for Charlotte.
Yeah, because she knows she doesn't want to do one.
She's guest hosting. It's turning into a permanent gig. But yeah, these shows they start with the premise that there's a police detective in modern times who's been the victim of a traumatic accident and is somehow transported back into a distinct period. Other than being very compelling shows, there's an amazing soundtrack. There's all these great new wave hits playing in the background, many of which you'll recognize, a lot of Duran Duran, and some of which you've never heard of before, like the Passions. So we will be playing, and feel free to check out Ashes to Ashes and suggest some of your favorite music beds from that show throughout the month of December. And if you really want new wave Christmas music, we invite you to check out our episode from last year, our Christmas episode, which was all new wave music. It's really nice to know that Bruce Springsteen isn't the only guy who did kind of a different Christmas tune. So check out that episode, which you'll find at mlsoulofdetroit.com. And it is Giving Tuesday. So we would like to encourage you to give us some money. You can, of course, donate to Killer Cares or the charity of your choice. But there's also a little button at mlsoulofdetroit.com, which you can click on. And that's what Joe did. He sent us $20 with this thoughtful note. I sent $40 to the Carlos and Shawn podcast. So thanks, Joe.
Jerk. I love it.
I think. And of course, we would love it if you would like to sponsor the show. If you have a product or a business that you want to tell people about, we are now one of the top 50 news and commentary podcasts in the Ukraine.
Oh, right.
So we can reach that audience you're looking for. We actually fell out of the top 50. We were in the top 20 for a little while. But we are one of the top news and commentary podcasts in America, and perhaps the number one in Michigan. So reach your audience by sponsoring us. I'm ashamed to tell you, as I will only tell you in a private conversation, because I'm so ashamed how cheap it is to sponsor this show. Give us a call. Send us an email, mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com. And we will have that conversation.
Where are you staying, by the way?
I am staying at some sort of Hilton thing in Chicago.
I feel like Shawn's trying to dox you. He wants to know why you're there. He wants to know why you're there, where you're staying, where's Teresa.
No, I was just curious if it was a hotel or a bed and breakfast.
I mean, I'm only interested because you're being very cryptic about it all. But maybe that's your plan.
Oh, no. This is some points club thing that I got rooked into many years ago, which we've never used. And finally, we're like, you know what? We haven't had a lot of time together, so we need to get out of town, and we may as well use this points club. So we're at some sort of Hilton property here in downtown Chicago, which is very nice. But I'm more of a youth hostel Airbnb type of guy.
Of course you are.
But despite my natural
he was
frugality,
in a 4-bedroom mansion in West Lafayette. Don't let him fool you. Youth hostel
with
my
beautiful
ass.
artwork I saw.
Exactly. Youth hostel.
Yeah. That was.
I mean, that's fun when you're 20.
Any other feedback?
So, yes, some guy, Carlos Manners, tweeted on Saturday, RESPECT, Mr. Shawn Windsor. Wonder what Mr. Elric will have to say about this Tuesday. And I think he was referring to the outcome of the Wolverine-Buckeyes game, which I had hoped would end in a 0-0 tie.
Because the Drew and Mike podcast people went crazy about that tweet.
Well, Drew retweeted it, yeah.
Okay.
Because you had the balls to pick them.
Doesn't take any guts. It's just a pick.
minutes.
Well,
He called a close game. It was a walk. It was obviously a complete and utter misread of the situation, but that's what I have to say about it.
Here's what's funny, ML. You didn't need to say anything about it because he himself just shit all over it.
No. But I will say, to my credit, I felt like they were going to win for a few weeks now. So,
wow.
Well, I wouldn't have felt it for the last few weeks, but certainly your rationale that you gave earlier in the show makes a lot of sense.
Well, I've been telling Mark on and off for
you have
6 weeks this team's better than he thinks it is. So.
Yeah, I had no faith that they can win on the road, and then that win at Wisconsin and then Penn State, it's kind of like, okay, well, maybe this team is a little different.
That Nebraska win was a sneaky, important win.
Sure.
Huge win. Anyway.
Oh, I thought the Wisconsin win is the one that signaled that this Michigan team might be different than previous Michigan teams. I wasn't as impressed with Penn State. I certainly wasn't as impressed with the Nebraska game. But going into Camp Randall and just trucking Wisconsin like that, I mean, this is not one of those monster Badger teams. But Camp Randall, that's a tough place to play. I saw Mark D'Antonio basically make out the first drafters' retirement papers in Madison one year. That's a big house too.
Well, they hadn't won there in 20 years, but you're right. That Badger team wasn't humming at that point. I feel like the Nebraska game was actually more impressive because Nebraska is talented and tough, and they just, and they had a lead at night, and they had a lead in the fourth quarter, and Michigan did what they have not done.
I was reading a very smart.
Well, they did what they should have done in Iowa several years ago, but didn't do.
Oh, in 2016?
Yeah.
I was reading a very smart columnist today who pointed out a play in that Wisconsin game where Cade McNamara hit Blake Corum for a first down early on. I think it's a third drive or so to keep that going to move and change field possession. And that's the little things Cade does.
He scrambled in the back of the end zone.
One of those small.
Well, that Angelique Shengalis doesn't miss a trick.
That was a risky.
But not only that, but then so he makes that bad play at Penn State, which really wasn't his fault, where he fumbled and Penn State took the lead. Which that team in the past, Michigan in the past, I don't know if they come back from that. They just don't think
he threw a pick six at Nebraska and came back from that.
Exactly. So there's something about
the other day he threw a pick where they were about to go up 14-0.
Awful.
And you could feel the air going out of that stadium, thinking, "Okay, here we go." Right, and then they take the lead. They're up 10-7, and he led that drive to get to 14-13 for the half, which I thought was the most important drive of the day.
January 10th, here we come, right, ML?
January 10th, you'll be watching the game with me somewhere.
So here's how I think about it real quick.
Masks on.
So Iowa is a less talented version of Michigan. You should beat Iowa. I don't think you'll beat them by a lot. I mean, maybe you will, but and then Georgia's a little more talented version of Michigan. So
that would be the championship game,
right? But I think you can beat anybody else for sure. And who knows? By that point, you might be able to roll with Georgia.
Oh, I don't know about.
Does Alabama beat Georgia?
I mean, they could. Alabama could just because they've got talent. They're just young, right?
Yeah, Georgia's a different level of defensive line.
Well, front seven. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Those linebacker, the front seven. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
and that'll make it tough for Michigan to run, but that's a long way off.
So, the D-List one tweeted on Sunday, ML is a douche.
Why?
Okay.
So,
I don't find you to be that way at all.
He's a little doushy.
I don't even know what a douche is. Anyways,
Towery and a douche?
Let me guess. The Carlos and Shawn podcast is going to be talking about Wolverine football.
Our special guest today for this week is Jim Schaefer, who's going to come on and talk about the pain of losing this game and how he's also sort of happy the rivalry is back, at least for now. And
never went anywhere.
Yeah. Well,
it never went anywhere.
He had been telling me for years he wanted Michigan to get good again because it was more enjoyable to beat them when they're good, and he wanted the risk. He wanted the possibility of suffering.
Such a lie.
He said, but then I said, you still feel that way? We talked last night. I said, you still feel that way? Now that your team lost, and he said, well, I'm not going to lie. Every Buckeye will tell you they've enjoyed beating the crap out of Michigan for 17 years.
Exactly. So it was a lie.
Yeah, no, their real rival is whoever's coming out of the SEC. But no, the only other guy not the only other guy, but the guy who I thought you were channeling on Saturday, Mark, was Schaefer, because he's the guy always like, Ohio State's favored by 50. It's like,
I don't know. This could be one of those games where we just don't pull it out. I don't know that we're as good as everybody says.
So
they go and win by 100. It's like, just relax.
You know what? Schaefer's a couple of years from 60. So, yes, it's been great for him the last 15 years.
But he remembers the Cooper years?
Absolutely. And then going back and forth in the 80s, you know what I mean?
Earl Bruce.
Yeah. But he especially remembers the Cooper years. And that does something to you, right? Kind of like how you felt.
I just don't know what to make. I just didn't know what to make of this team all year, but I'm fully on board now. So they'll probably lose.
Anybody who thinks Michigan isn't going to beat Iowa is either not a Michigan fan or doesn't know anything about college football.
Well,
That's that.
I don't think they will lose to them, but I don't know. You never know. Right? They could lose 13-10 and turnovers and whatever.
And Jim Schaefer, for those of you who don't know, is one of the top editors at the Free Press, well known for many years for doing his A Few Minutes With column.
And that's it. Nothing else? Never won a Pulitzer or anything?
Oh, did that win a Pulitzer?
Wait, did he get a pay cut too?
Oh, I don't know. I did though. Oh, boy, I never forget that.
Everybody got a pay cut.
We should probably talk about that a little bit more.
Whenever you talk about
everybody got a pay cut.
Whenever you talk about your is it Pulitzer or how do you pronounce it? Pulitzer?
I don't talk about it because it can't be a pay cut.
I just want to point that out. I want to point that out, Mark. Everybody got a pay cut.
I know, but I just like that every time he talks about winning a pretty prestigious award, he has to mention that.
Well, thanks to Mike. I mean, Mike wouldn't toot his own horn with something like this, but thanks to Mike and the hard work of a lot of other people who ran that union, the pay cut was half of what they initially wanted it to be. So,
there you go.
So there you go. Kudos.
We risked our lives.
Well, you saved a lot of people a lot of heartache, I'm sure, financially.
I actually participated in some charity thing that the newspaper was doing, where we were in a dunk tank out front of the newspaper building to raise money for United Way or something like that. And on my chest, I had written with a big Sharpie, 13.5% with a big no symbol through it, because that was what they were asking us to take. So we tried to get right in their face.
Yeah. So, yeah.
But all the bosses said was nice pecs.
So kudos to Mike.
Congratulations.
It wasn't just me. There were some very tiny people.
Look at Mike. Does he look like
I allowed to assist me in saving the world?
Does he look like Herbie the dentist?
There's a resemblance.
Actually, it's Hermie.
That's all I'll say.
If we're gonna get down to it, it's Hermie.
I don't know. It's a fierce debate online if it's Hermie or Herbie.
It's Hermie. This is not a original observation. I'm very familiar with this. He was, of course, the most handsome of all the Rankin Bass characters.
So here we go. So finally, finally, Mark, an hour in, he's criticizing the fun I'm having with him. It's not an original observation.
Just in time for Cyrus.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So if you got some spare time, you can do what I did for a portion of this show, is listen to the Charlie LaDuff's No BS News Hour or the Drew and Mike podcast. They're also featured here on the Red Shovel Network. And until next week, we ask our friend Cyrus to take us out.
Can you dig that? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
The results are in. You're not elected.
ML Elric next on The Soul of Detroit.